Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery here. We get together most weekday mornings at this time, 8 o'clock Central, to talk about strategies, techniques, success stories, and to support each of you. So regardless if you are a client, a prospective client, a distribution partner, and or a prospective distribution partner, we're very transparent. It's important that you understand what we do, how the grant works, how it came, where it came from, and then how you can benefit. So the first thing I want to address, just from a housekeeping item, I mentioned this morning in an email to each of you who are currently set up as a distribution partner. I did want to bring to your attention that if you prefer just to refer clients in, you can do that. You don't have to have a website. You don't have to get clients under contract. You don't have to deal with any of that. You can just simply put in their name, their email, their phone, and that you referred them, and then we'll take care of it from there. So I did email each of you this morning. Now, normally it's different, right? Normally, those of you that are, we call our branch offices, and if you're not, you can get set up by clicking here. For most of you, what you'll do is you're going out to the marketplace under a private label approach. So under your branding, whereby you get the clients under agreement. So you have two options, and this is consistent with the agreement we have with you. You'll see in the branch agreement, you have two ways that you can submit clients in. The simplest of which is just simply put in their name, email, phone, your name, and we pick it up and take it from there. Now, in that case, we're going to assign that client to someone that's going to reach out and help the client get enrolled. So you'll get paid $1,000 if you just simply refer them in here, or we do the normal 50-50 split where you make $1,250 if you go through the normal mechanism, which is to get them under contract with your branch, and then you collect their participation fee. So just want you to keep that in mind. Some of you, when you first get started, you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed. That's fine. Keep it simple. You can just put in their information here. But let's step back and make sure we know what the grant is, how it works, and at any time, if any of you have questions, type it in, please, to the Q&A, question and answer box. It's like a chat box. So the grant. We applied for the grant. We were approved for the grant. What does the grant do? The grant provides $2,500 for entrepreneurs who participate in the Startup Business Funding Package. So they're getting two things, aren't they? They're getting a $2,500 allocation, which is great, and they're getting a fundable business, which I'll go through. That's the premise of how we got the grant. That's the premise of how businesses get funded, is they have a fundable business. If you and I went out and surveyed 100 small businesses, I bet most of them, the vast majority, would say yes, they need money to start to grow to reach their potential. The problem isn't that there's not money available. There's plenty of banks, plenty of credit unions, lots of lenders of all different types, shapes, and sizes. The problem is most small business owners are not fundable. Worse yet, many of them don't even know what it takes to be fundable. So what you and I do together is teach. We don't need to sell anyone anything. We teach them what it takes to have a fundable business. And these are factual statements, not sales-oriented, not marketing. So let's go through for a moment, make sure we're all on the same page of what it takes to have a fundable business. Then we can back in and talk about how participants can enroll in the grant, get the $2,500 allocation up front, and then we can assist them if they wish. The point, though, I'm trying to make is you and I should be focused on educating, because that's the goal. If we educate the prospective client, on average, 85 to 87% of them will move forward and participate in the grant. But even if they don't, it's still a success because we've educated them. All right, so stepping back, what does it take to have a fundable business? Well, there's a number of things. Let's go through it. And it takes all of these items, not some of the items. The first thing that we need to have for a fundable business is a good, unique commercial business address. No, a home address isn't good. No, a post office box isn't good. No, a shared virtual address where we have 100 and other people have the same suite number. That is not deemed as credible. Now, I'm giving you the Cliff Notes version. If you want the long version of all of this, please go down to Grant Resources after today's Zoom, and it's called the 10 Mistakes. So this is our full educational curriculum. We would invite you to go out and teach this in person, online, individual, small groups, large groups if you want. But just to clarify, I'm giving you the Cliff Notes version here at the top. The full dialogue is found here. All right, so what are we going to do if they decide to enroll in the grant? We're going to provide this for them for free because they need it. Well, let me reword it. Every small business needs a unique business address. They may already have it. If they already have it, then check the box. Then if it's not broke, we don't need to fix it. So that's a matter of fact. If they don't have that, then they can participate in the grant through the Startup Business Funding Package, and we will provide them an address for free. But again, if they already have an address, a good address, fine. If not broke, don't fix it. Next thing that we need to do to be fundable, and these are in order again. This is an order we go in. These could be numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 instead of just bullets. Second thing we need to have is a business that's in good standing with the Secretary of State. Now, if we have a brand new business, that means file it. If the business has been around, there's probably some annual filings, or might even be some annual fees that are required. But if we don't have a business that's in good standing with the Secretary of State, we're not fundable. So if they have that, great. If not, guess what? We will do that for free. What does that mean specifically? We will file with the Secretary of State and form a new business entity for them for free through the grant. So the address is free if they need it. Filing with Secretary of State is free if they need it. Now, what's the third thing? Once we have the address, which comes first, and we're in good standing with the Secretary of State, what do we do next? Then we get our EIN. That's like a social security number for the business. So if they have that, fine. If not, we're going to help them get that. And then we're going to go ahead and open a business bank account. We need a business bank account separate from personal. So if they need assistance with that, it's free. If they already have it, check the box and move on. What's fourth? We need to be business credit worthy. So please, please, please separate personal credit from business credit. We are not talking about personal credit. We don't care if someone has great personal credit or horrible personal credit or no personal credit. We don't care if they're a foreign national, so they don't even have a social security number. We're not worried about any of that. We're talking about the business. Is the business credit worthy? So if it is, great, check the box. If not, there's two things that we do for free. Let's go through that. The first thing that we do is help them build out, legally and ethically, of course, an optimized credit profile with like Dun & Bradstreet, Experian Business, for example. What does that mean? Well, the credit profile for a business is almost always incomplete and not optimized. So there's some information there that, for instance, Dun & Bradstreet picks up from public records, but often it's not complete. Maybe it doesn't have an industry code or the right industry code. It may not have the right number of employees, other information. So that's the first thing we're going to do is help them optimize, legally and ethically, optimize their credit profiles. Secondly, to complete this step that we're on, we're going to then help them add primary trade lines. And we have a lot of spirited conversations about this. I was talking to one of you yesterday on the phone. Yes, it was Sunday, and we're having a conversation. And it was Owen. Is Owen on training this morning? No, I don't think Owen's on live. But Owen had he's a brand new branch. So he had lots of questions, which is great. And he's like, well, Will clients have any obligations financially for those primary trade lines? And I said, Owen, of course. So let's say that we help the client, and we'll work with the client to figure out what primary trade lines they want, of course. But let's say that they want a company car. So if they go get a company car, yes, they'll need to pay the payments on their company car. Sounds kind of obvious, but that was Owen's question. Let's say they want a credit card under the company name. Then if they use that credit card, then yes, they would need to pay that credit card. Sounds kind of obvious, but that was Owen's question. And it's a good question in the sense that, could there be other cost? Well, sure. When you buy things, you need to pay for it. And so if what we're doing is adding trade lines, we're not selling trade lines. We don't charge for the trade line. But again, it sounds kind of obvious. You get a company card, you need to pay for it. You get a company credit card and you use it, and you need to pay the bill. So is that an additional cost? Well, not really to the program, but in general, yeah, if you know, what's the method for credit? You qualify for it, you apply for it, and you use it, and then it reports. So just to be sure, yeah, if they go get a company car like we did 2 weeks ago, we did a training on that, we're expected to pay that $3,600 a month to the finance company. All right, so we've covered the first 4 items. We provide for free if the client needs it. If they already have it, fine, just move on forward. That's okay. Then we check that box and move forward. Now we're to the point of what we call quick cash. And this is where we're transferring over, and we really do this, $10,000 over to the client. Well, why would we do that? Or it sounds too good to be true. Well, what do we know? The client needs to have good financials. Even if it's a brand new business, we need to have a good balance sheet, which shows assets and liabilities of the business. So we help them create the balance sheet. With that being said, we want to make sure that the balance sheet reflects that there's collateral to pledge for the loan. Well, a lot of new businesses don't have collateral. That's called a collateral shortfall. That's a problem that keeps them from being fundable. Well, how do we resolve that through the grant? Well, we transfer over $10,000 to the client, legally documented, fully compliant, post that on their balance sheet, and guess what? Now we have collateral. Isn't that novel? And then we can turn around and help them liquidate those, because those are in the form of receivables. We can turn around and help them liquidate those receivables. Oops. There we go. And turn it into cash. So once we have done these 5 bullets, now we have a fundable business. If your experience is like mine, most small business owners don't know these elements, or they probably know about them, but they've not put it together in their head that 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1, hopefully that was 5 ones, equals a fundable business. But if you don't have all of those, it's not fundable. Now, does that mean that we couldn't possibly get funding if we have 4 of the 5 or 3 of the 5? Well, there's probably some flexibility there, but we're not going to get as much funding, and we probably won't get as good of terms. If we're going after larger amounts, 6 digits, 7 digits of business funding, we need to have a fundable business. So this is not an opinion contest. It doesn't matter what you think or what I think, quite frankly. It's this. These are the facts. This is what it takes to have a fundable business. And so you and I can go out and teach this. We call it the formula for funding. You can teach them rather directly, like I just went through it, or you could teach them indirectly by taking them through this PowerPoint, and you can see it. And we'll provide you the PowerPoint and press releases and all the editable documents. That's all part of the setup. So once we have a fundable business, what do? We go to funding. Isn't that novel? Now, every once in a while, I'll have a client that enrolls, maybe they're on step 1 and they're saying, well, am I ready to go to funding? Well, your business isn't fundable yet, right? Because we covered this is what we need to do. Then we go to funding. But what if a client needs funding quicker? I was talking to Mike this morning. He's one of our new clients that Brian referred in. Brian, thank you for that. So Mike needs funding quickly. And this process if we're building from scratch, takes 30 to 60 days. So it's not just instant. It's not add water, stir, and you're fundable. This takes about 30 to 60 days. So what do we do in those instances where we have a problem, a conflict? Client needs funding right away. They don't have a fundable business. Now, again, if they have some of these things, it can accelerate the process. But what we do is we go down under grant resources. There's a number of resources, and the second of which is that we can go ahead and get financing offers for the client. Please note, going forward, we only run financing offers for clients that are in the grant. In other words, that are enrolled. So at this point going forward, because there was some confusion on that where some people were just coming to get financing, this is designed to be a benefit, a resource of clients that are in the program. So just please make note, as of today, December 11th, 2023, if the client's not in the package, then this is not available to them. All right, also under grant resources is the enrollment to become a client. So again, if you're a prospective client and if you were referred by a distribution partner, you might want to go back to them and they can help you. Or you've got 2 steps to participate. Step 1, step 2. Step 1 is we want to have educated and motivated participants in the grant because we want 100% success. So there's a couple steps to go through, not too painful. One is to click to view the proposal, and the second is to watch the video, which is here. I've had some people say that they don't see the video on their screen. I don't know how that could be, but maybe it's just an interface with a given browser. But frankly, this is on the honor system. There's no registration or tracking of it, but that's what's expected. Then step 2 is engage. You click on here, pops up a new page, and then all you do is initial off in a few spots, and then bam, you're in the grant. So that's how you would participate if you're wanting to be a distribution partner. Again, it's down here. My point was under grant resources, this link is frankly the same link as here. It's just repeated. Here's financing offers. And what did we say? Going forward, this is only available to clients that are enrolled in the startup program. Here's how to register for the daily live Zoom webinars like we're on now. Several times we've talked about this, which is the full educational curriculum. You could teach this if you wanted. If you taught it in person, it's normally an hour, online 30 minutes, but you don't have to teach it if you don't want. Success stories, and we've covered this. The last thing I'm required to cover, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. Who are we? So we have a 501c3 nonprofit. The 501c3 nonprofit's background and is formed in 2016. We work with the SBA and FDIC and all that. But the point is, where did it come from? Because people will ask, how did this get started? So it's not a very exciting story, but myself and several others, we were high school teachers. And I was actually also the UIL coach. I was the coach for accounting, computer programming, and computer apps. And we actually won state, if that matters. I know football and basketball is more exciting sports, but there's academic champions, and we actually won state. But the point is, so a number of us that were both teachers and academic coaches were interested in what can we do to really provide a practical curriculum for the students. And so I started teaching essentially this, not quite, but essentially this, where I help students, not clients, students build business plans and financial projections, and the press picked it up, and we were in the national press. You can look back and see stories about that. So it was really good. But what happened is the parents and the community started calling the school saying, well, what are you teaching these kids? Not like it was controversial, but just it didn't make sense to them, because these 16, 17, 18-year-olds would come home and they would know more about business and financials than their parents did. So we started getting requests to go teach this curriculum out in the community. Well, as a high school, you can't really do that. So what did we do? We formed a nonprofit and started teaching in the community. We would teach at churches and apartment complexes and chambers, and then it grew and grew to where we are now. So with that being said, chapmanloanprogram.org is the resource site for you to plug in. We're going to start going through the questions, comments, concerns any of you have. Please type those into Q&A. If you are one of our distribution partners, we'll get you set up properly. And then what we want to do with each of you is have one-on-ones at least once a week in addition to these group sessions. But Misty has the first question. And for the others, if you want to go ahead and type your question, comment, or concern in, you can type it in. All right, so Misty states she had a similar question to what Owen was regarding the trade lines, which is back here. And she thought that those trade lines were not real. No, these are true primary trade lines. Nothing that we do is going to be questionable or obviously not illegal or even gray. So when we're adding trade lines, Misty and everyone else, we're really adding true trade lines that the business can use, because I think that's ultimately what they want, and that's what's compliant. So let's say that we added, well, again, you can see the training from last Monday, I guess it was a week ago, where we highlighted getting business automobiles. So we can help any client go get a business vehicle under the EIN, so it's fully tax deductible. Then we can use Section 179 of the tax code to use accelerated depreciation. And it's great because most people need transportation anyway. Well, that creates a large trade line. If they don't want a business vehicle, that's fine. We could go get a business credit card, let's say a $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 Visa or MasterCard under the business name. Doesn't report on personal credit. We can get real estate. We can just get those little simple net 30s, whatever it is. But we need to establish that the business is credit worthy. That's part of being fundable. So thank you, Misty, for that comment more than a question. So what of this doesn't make sense to you? Because we have a tremendous opportunity to go help small businesses. We don't need to sell anything. We just need to teach them. You have the curriculum. And again, as we started the presentation off today, and as I emailed each of you this morning, you have two options on how to spread the word. You can just simply refer them in to chapmanloanprogram.org. You can put their name, email, phone, and your name here, and then we'll take care of it. Now, in that case, you're going to be paid $1,000 because we have to pay $250 to someone else that's going to go educate and close the client. But if you want the full 50-50 split, which is $1,250, then in those cases, obviously you'd be set up as a participation partner. We'll provide you an editable agreement, and then you get the client under contract with your branch, as we call it. And you can even alter the pricing if you wanted, if it's a direct client. Okay, so who has questions, comments, concerns? What we do is needed, it's valuable, it's legitimate. I will tell you that you'll run into some friction. We had a young lady this morning. She signed up as one of our distribution partners, and she just really didn't understand why she enrolled. I don't know. So she didn't have like a conflict, but I think her level of financial literacy is so low that all of this just went over her head. It didn't make sense. She couldn't put it together. So that's why we really want to have educated partners. So we have a great training curriculum. So you don't have to have a background in any of this, but if you do decide to become one of our distribution partners, we'll plug you into some on-demand training. And then of course we have these daily sessions, most Mondays through Fridays. And then also we have one-on-one. But we'll make sure that you're successful, but it can be just as simple as just simply, getting people submitted here, if that's what you want to do, or you can actually get your branch set up where you're actually contracting them through your branch. Okay, too much talk, not enough listening. So questions, we have a big group today. Brian, thank you again for referring in Mike this morning, or I should say over the weekend. Brian, do you have any other questions? Anything that we didn't cover? Type it into the Q&A, please. David, Eric, Ernest. I mean, we have so many of it. I can't name off. Who has questions, comments, concerns? Because if you don't know what to do next, if you don't feel that you know enough to go apply what we've discussed, then what have we accomplished? We kind of wasted your time. Okay, Petros says the application does not go through. Okay, well, that could be. We've never had that happen before with thousands of clients, Petros, but if that is the issue, then maybe give us a call or give us an email and we can help you. Certainly technical issues could occur. But when you go through and complete the enrollment, there are, anytime you see a star, it's a required field. So you have to put something in there. Now, of course, for initials, we know our initials. But let's say that it asks for business name and you don't have a business name yet. You would type your individual name in. Or if it asks for EIN, you don't have an EIN yet, you would just put to be determined. But I don't think there is a glitch in the system. We have thousands of people that use it on a monthly basis, but it could be either a user error or a system error. And so we can walk you through that as needed. All right, Misty wants company vehicle. Yeah, so it's just a natural flow, Misty. So Misty, first you enroll, right? So you're participating, and then we go through the vehicles through the steps, and then the building the business credit happens in step 4. So Misty, I don't know offhand if you're enrolled or not. If not, you need to enroll. You can do that easily here. And then when we get to step 4, we can add the business vehicle. We would, all of you that want a business vehicle, we would really like to have that in your possession before the end of the month, the end of December, so that way we can do the full tax write-off. But it's whatever pace you want. We're not rushing you, and again, you don't have to. So Misty says she's a branch. Well, so we need to have you go through as a client. So Misty's point's great. So if you're a branch, a distribution partner, you can also be a client. You don't have to be, but you can. And how do you become a client? Well, we've covered it. You can submit yourself here, as simple as that. And then one of our team will reach out to you, or you can technically enroll yourself. And that is done through the editable agreement, client agreement that we've provided you when we onboarded you. David made a comment, and David's right, and we've been remiss in this. So nothing has changed, quite frankly. If you go back and look at the branch agreement, if you're one of our branch offices, it says this, but we've just not brought it to everyone's attention, which is my fault. That yes, you can just refer people in, put in their name, their email, their phone, and your information, and we take it from there. So you don't have to worry about having a website, you don't have to worry about having an agreement, you don't have to worry about payment processing. It's simple. There's 2 ramifications, though, David, of this, isn't there? Number 1, you make $1,000 for submitting people through this way versus 50/50, which is $1,250 if you actually bring them through your branch. And secondly, you're paid tomorrow instead of today. Because if you're a branch, you're paid immediately, same day. If you're submitting them through this referral portal, then you're paid the next day. I guess then there's a third ramification. We have a number of you who are accountants and attorneys and credit repair professionals, all kinds of different disciplines. If you're going out under your branding, then you wouldn't want to drive them to our website, would you? You'd want to have them come through you under your agreement. But if you don't care about that, this is certainly a simple way. All right, Misha asked a good question. She says, with so many programs out there, what makes us different? Well, that's great. I love that question. We'll actually close on that question. To the best of my knowledge, well, I'll be more firm. We're the only ones that receive the grant. So there's no one else out under this grant. So that's differentiation number 1. Number 2 is, Misha, the grant provides a bunch of things free that I don't know that anyone else does for free. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know how they could afford to do it for free if they didn't have a grant, quite frankly. But we're providing the unique business address. We're providing the Secretary of State filing. We're providing the EIN and help getting the bank account. We're building out their business credit and adding trade lines. We're transferring real assets over, Misha, so they have collateral. And then, of course, we help them go for funding. So you would have to, all of you'd have to tell me, have any of you seen anyone else that has this value proposition? Yes or no, if you wouldn't mind typing into the Q&A before we leave today. Have any of you seen another organization that can match this value proposition? I haven't. And I don't know how it'd be possible for them to do so without the grant. So I guess that's the answer. I mean, certainly you can go get any of these in bits and pieces, and some clients already have it. But as Trevor and I commonly talk about, he's on the Zoom, building business credit, you can go to Credit Suite, C-R-E-D-I-T, second word suite, S-U-I-T-E. Great company out of Florida. Great people. I have nothing but positive things to say. But what they charge $3,000 to $5,000 for, we do for free. So, and they don't provide $10,000, and they don't help get the EIN, and they don't pay for the Secretary of State, and they don't provide a business address, and they don't provide access to the Chapman Fund. So I think if you don't take the time to understand this value proposition, maybe it's easy to come to the conclusion of, oh, there's other alternatives. But if you actually dig into it a bit, you realize, wow, we've got something unique, something special. There are no competitors to this value proposition. And I will close on this. You very well may run into clients that have some of these elements, and that's fine. The process is still the same. You'd still have them enroll. They would still, you could either submit them on here or have them contract with your branch. The setup is the same, but we can opt out of anything that they don't need. So if they already have some of these things, that's great. That just accelerates the process. All right. Well, thanks, everyone. If you need anything from us, let us know. We'll be here. We'll see you back tomorrow morning. Have a great day. Bye-bye.